Oh, it's working. Hot damn. Well, hey, you guys. This is Rick. Good morning. Uh, it's a day of a lot of art classes. I got a few minutes, and I just have to get this out. I'm out here fishing. I wanted to take you on a fishing trip with me. And I've only got a minute or so because I've got to prepare for my class, and the place is such a wreck. I want to fix things up. But anyways, I'm going to minus you down, and we're going over to some lady's place called For Yahweh. And her thing today is the New Testament fan fiction symbolic, coded, or literal? Who wrote this stuff? Well, I don't have time to listen to it, but what it is she comes about, she's not happy with it because some things just don't add up. And she's talking about the real life happenings of, the miracles and things like that. They're just not jiving up. So she's losing faith in Paul, the writer Paul. She's losing faith slowly but surely. But the thing is on the whole Bible is because this code it is a code and is symbolic. It is fan fiction. It has to be taken literally and symbolically. And who the hell knows who wrote this stuff, because one will say that so and so came about, this one was 500 years later or 200 years later or stuff like that. I think that's when they're introduced or when they're discovered, but they're all still a part of the very same group of scriptures and texts that you and I find all the time. I would just say that there's one for this God, where they can, create things. I'm sure it's the same idea behind all of the myths and legends that were brought about towards another group of people in this time, during time. And of course, all of these have been symbolic, and they're recipients of this information looked at this as being real. And were portrayed as real. There's a centaur out there. There's a one-eyed monster running around out there. There's a two-horned red devil running around out there somewhere. We have Shiva running around out there too, chop, 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 and destroying everything. And just the idea of thinking that these things, that God destroys things, is just like, this is the blasphemy because of this idea of the word being made the works, that we have to go through this hell first, before we can get to heaven. So anyways, we're going to, there was this someone that I was answering to in here, and what's their name? Because I did have it all set up, but my camera didn't want to work. And when that happens, I wind up having to, I don't even see anything. Everything is gone on here. What a bitch. Just crazy. Maybe it's in somebody's such and such. Well, anyways, he was complaining. He's saying, you should watch what's coming out of your mouth. And what I'm hearing is it's making me sick. All right. So here I found it. And I'm going to push this here. Now, this is what I said. This is my fishing trip while I'm out here on her channel. It says the Bible has many contradictions in it. So how can you believe both ways? For instance, compare verses or against animal sacrifices, eating flesh, etc. You can't have it both ways. You have to believe the Bible is whole. You must believe Jeremiah 8:8 clearly. Evil men tampered with Scripture. And yes, God did preserve Scripture. But we did have eyes to see and ears to hear and a mind to understand. We must grow to know the Father through His Son. Genesis before the fall and the millennium reign. These are also hundreds of other holy inspired books that are not of the Bible that man put together, like Yeshua said, seek and ye shall find. So babble, 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 you know. You've got to do this and you got to do that. No, you got to read the Bible and learn that this is what I find. This is how I answer this young man. And to tell you the truth, I think she might have blocked me. So even though it looks like to me that I'm doing something and spreading something around, leaving some kind of comment, it's really some kind of trickery on my part or on this YouTube to make it look like that I was able to say something, you know, but not get any reaction from it. That's usually what happens. So here's what I wrote. I said the Bible represents the works. It's not supposed to set us free. It's supposed to bind us. It's the gnashing of teeth. It's the surface. And the surface tells of a vengeful God, loving but conditional and fearful. This represents what the writer Paul says is the letter. He tells us this kills. If you believe in this side, you're spiritually dead and not awakened yet. Religion follows this side of the book and creates the whore in the Bible. And Babylon is earth itself in its connection to our lower mind, our lower conscious, the carnal mind, man. This is how it kills us, by separating us from God with a false one, i.e. Satan. Paul goes on to show us that he ministers the word by the Spirit, and this side saves us. It's called sowing your seeds, planting this seed. First the outside, sown by the wayside, then the inside, sown on good ground. This is the Elohim, male and female, or father and mother. Outside is the skin, what we see, and inside our spirit, what we can't see. Together, side by side in our skulls, sits these two, mother and father, the image of God in us. They represent our consciousness. The left is male and carries a negative charge, and the right is positive, a female energy. Today, believers worship the Father, thus are dead spiritually. They have not learned to toss their nets over to the right side of the boat, honoring both mother and father. Sir, what comes from your mouth makes you an enemy of this Lord of ours. For the side of the Bible you believe in kills, making you spiritually dead. And what comes from your mouth is blasphemy. It's for this beautiful side of God is incapable of such lower conscious behaviors. When brought together, man and woman are made whole. Come over to the other side of the text, my friends. So that's how I shop. All right? That's how I go fishing. And some people say, you come about it so negatively. And I said, well, I'm quoting the Bible. Oh, you're so judgmental. I said, hey, well, I'm quoting the Bible. Trying to blame me for all this shit. And all I tell them to do is just read your goddamn Bibles. All right? Anyways, good morning. I love y'all. Gotta get to work. All right? That's probably why I came up with an ornery one today. Ugh. I'd rather goof off. I want to play I want to play in my garden. Something terrible. And one of my little goldfishes doesn't look like it wants to live very much longer. I took it out. I had it. I looked at him. I've been noticing the last couple of days he's looking a little weak and something like that, And of course, I got him they called them the weak ones, anyways. So I scooped him up, and I was going to go take him to the toilet, And I was just looking at him, and I said, you know what? You'd serve me better in my plants. But he wiggled his mouth. He wasn't dead yet, so I put him back into the tank. And he swam on down. I think he was glad he gets to live a little bit longer. I think that's the way we all would. We're not all, but, I'm not afraid of dying. But when these people out here get close to dying, they do anything to try to stay away from this other place, to stay away from dying. So I'm going to see how he does, that poor little thing, you know. But he'll make better instead of just wasting him. He'll sit good in maybe in the strawberry patch, you know. Strawberry fields forever. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. I'll chat with you soon.